Nearly 100 years ago, Ernest Hemingway predicted the cultural downfall of the West, painting a bleak portrait of society in his 1926 novel, The Sun Also Rises. While many of his peers believed that rejecting traditional morals would lead to liberation and freedom, Hemingway foresaw that it would lead to emptiness, destruction, and despair. In this video, we'll explore the profound predictions he made through the lives of his characters and what they teach us about the dangers of rejecting morality. The setting: a post-war generation lost in hedonism. Set in the aftermath of World War I, The Sun Also Rises follows a group of expatriates, World War I veterans, living in Europe. These men are deeply traumatized by the war, and their trauma shapes their view of life. To them, life is reduced to suffering and meaninglessness. In their eyes, the only escape from this pain is to drown themselves in alcohol and pleasure. Hemingway paints a picture of a lost generation. They reject traditional morality, instead opting for a life driven by indulgence in liquor, sex, and fleeting pleasures. But beneath their surface-level enjoyment, there's an undeniable emptiness. Hemingway masterfully uses these characters to show how the rejection of meaning and morality leads to despair. Jake Barnes, the emasculation of men without morals. At the heart of the novel is Jake Barnes, the protagonist and narrator. A former soldier, Jake is physically and spiritually wounded by the war. His injuries have left him impotent, but this physical impotence also symbolizes a deeper, existential loss. By abandoning morality, Jake is stripped of the qualities that once gave him strength: his sense of heroism, honor, and purpose. Jake's life is now defined by a desperate, unattainable longing for Lady Brett. Despite his love for her, he's unable to truly connect, both because of his physical condition and the shallow nature of their relationship. Hemingway uses Jake's character to show how men, when they lose their sense of morality, are left with nothing but lust and envy, leading to a hollow existence. Lady Brett Ashley, the loneliness of independence without morality. On the other side, we have Lady Brett Ashley, a symbol of the liberated woman of the 1920s. She rejects traditional values, choosing a life of independence and sexual freedom. But what Hemingway shows through her character is that this freedom comes at a cost. Lady Brett is beautiful, desired by many, but ultimately, she is lonely. She's traded genuine love and connection for lust and fleeting experiences. Hemingway illustrates through Brett's life that rejecting morality doesn't lead to happiness or fulfillment. It traps women in a never-ending quest for independence that often leads to emotional isolation. The consequences of a life without morality. Jake Barnes isn't the only man who suffers in this world. All the male characters in the novel are reduced to their basest desires: jealousy, lust, and competition over women. Hemingway's message here is stark. When men abandon morality, they are emasculated. They lose the very qualities that define strength, leadership, and honor, leaving them to wallow in hedonism. Hemingway warns that a world without morality strips men of their purpose, and in doing so, leads to destructive behavior. Without something meaningful to fight for, men lose themselves to temporary pleasures, and their lives spiral downward. The tragedy of women who reject morality. The consequences of rejecting morality are not just limited to men. Through Lady Brett, Hemingway shows the emotional toll it takes on women as well. Brett has pursued her idea of freedom and independence, but at the cost of love, connection, and ultimately, her happiness. She's trapped in a cycle of loneliness, always searching for something meaningful but unable to find it because she refuses to abandon the very independence that's isolating her. While Lady Brett gains freedom, it comes at the price of feeling disconnected from genuine human experiences. Her rejection of traditional values leaves her imprisoned in her own sadness, a sadness she cannot escape despite her best efforts. Hemingway's answer: the fight for meaning. Hemingway doesn't just leave us with a bleak picture of morality's destruction, he offers a way forward. Through Jake's reflections, Hemingway argues that while life is indeed painful and often without inherent meaning, it is up to us to fight for that meaning. By choosing to live with purpose, even in the face of suffering, we reclaim our strength and vitality. Fighting for meaning requires courage and faith. Even if objective morality doesn't exist, Hemingway suggests that the act of choosing to live with values, purpose, and integrity is what makes life meaningful. The beauty in life comes from seeking it out, despite the inevitable pain we endure. Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises is more than a novel about disillusionment. It's a warning about what happens when we abandon morality. It's a tale of lost men and women, broken by the rejection of meaning, but also a story of hope. Hemingway urges us to be brave enough to fight for meaning in a world that often seems devoid of it. If you found this analysis of The Sun Also Rises insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth literary breakdowns and discussions. Thank you for watching, and remember, meaning in life is not found, it is fought for.